Hey, welcome aboard, everybody. Another rendition of left, right, left, right, right, left. And we're
Right,
here again.
wrong.
You may realize that I'm only here now once a month. And that's because I have to rest up because this man is a very good debater who occasionally says something, Tom McLaughlin, and writes something, Tom McLaughlin, where you can lean on and believe. That's
You actually really agree with some of the things that I write?
Well, it's been 10 years. I think I found at least one or two. But I read it anyway.
I had found, once I found, and I keep meaning to bring it in and I forget. You wrote a nasty letter to the editor of the Conway Sun about
Recently?
one of my columns. No, this is
10
years ago.
Oh, it had to be years ago.
Yeah,
I
you know, I save a lot of them.
I'm glad you did.
And so I, you know, I know that guy, Gino Funicella. Yeah, I forget. I don't even remember what it was about.
I've written over the years maybe a dozen or 2 dozen letters to the editor in this local newspaper. And the one that got the greatest reaction was my story of the goose that got hit by a car.
A goose?
A goose. Geese that I'd been feeding for years, this couple with their progeny. Every year they would come back to the same little pond, and I wrote a letter to the editor when she got hit.
Is it a wild one?
Oh, yeah, wild geese.
Canada geese.
Canada geese. I think he was from Canada. It looked like he was healthy. Anyway, got killed. The poor goose got hit.
Well,
and I wrote a letter of goodbye to the goose. And the outpouring,
wrote a letter of goodbye to the goose?
A story about her and the poor, her poor betrothed.
If you still got it, I'd like to read this.
Oh, I've got it. I'll email it to you. Oh, of course. But it was wonderful. And I got so many, even to the point that 2 weeks ago I was at a meeting somewhere, and a guy stood up and said, you know, that was a great letter you wrote. I said, what was that letter about the goose? What was 8 years ago? Anyway.
So, was it tongue-in-cheek or were you serious?
Oh, no, it was serious because it was a beautiful pair. Geese made for life.
Yeah, I heard that.
And they would come back to the same spot every year to have her new. And I would see them, and this goose was so good, the male. He would be 50 feet away when I first saw him every year. And he would come running 50 feet with his wings flapping. Oh, yeah, they'll remember you.
Well, huh?
Hey,
How long do they live?
I probably, 14, 15 years.
Really?
I have no idea.
That long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they don't make it through a lot,
I gotta say, I don't really, don't like them as much as you do because
they tend to poop a little.
Yeah, a little.
Golf courses don't like them.
No, and neither do property managers on Keezer Lake like them because they
to
like to come up right up on this lawn and they like to crap all over it. So, and then I have to get someone to clean it up.
Absolutely. You want to go into politics right now? You want to?
No, I
should
don't.
we discuss something?
Not personally. I do not wish to run for politics. I only like to write about it and talk about it.
Sir Donald Trump last night had a rally in El Paso, Texas. And down the road, within I don't know, a few hundred yards, I don't know, city block, Beto O'Rourke. Beto.
As a T. Beto
O'Rourke was down the road having a counter demonstration. This morning, I'm listening to the radio, and naturally they've got Trump on tape talking about the size of his crowd. He was in the range of 20, 30, 35,000 people, but Beto O'Rourke only had 200 or 300. Well, now, naturally, inquiring people who estimate the size of crowds, along with the size of hands and stuff like that, said that Trump had, I guess, 12,000, quite a few. In this, because the arena he was in only sat 6,500, so.
How many people were outside? That's the question, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, down the road.
I don't know either.
At Beto, I'll be calling him Beppo forever. Beto's little rally, he had 7,000 or 8,000, whatever.
He did?
Yeah.
That many.
Trump claimed.
What was that, in an interior venue?
I think they were outside.
I think
it was a street. There was a street mob.
I don't know.
But anyway, so Trump again he lies about why can't he just try for once to tell the truth? He is absolutely the most incredible liar anybody's ever seen, and he's your president. And I just can't believe it. Why not this? There's nobody that can control the man.
You don't intend to vote for him in 2020?
Oh, my dear God, no. I'm hoping that enough people. I watched another show about Hitler the other night, and it
about
really
what?
Hitler, It was very good. It was on one of the education channels. And the parallels, you know, in 1927 or 28, Hitler ran for the first time for the Bundestag. He got slammed. He got 2.5% of the vote, got annihilated. 4 years later, he was dictator for life. An amazing recovery.
Right.
This guy has been sued, has been in court, been challenged, been caught with women, caught under women, caught beside women, caught squeezing women in the wrong places, talked about it, been on tape, chiseled everybody in the world. And he won his election, okay? It wasn't really the first time, because they've been talking about running forever and a day. I never knew that. But the thing is, we are in danger. And I see it as a danger, because he doesn't listen to anybody. He doesn't listen to his security people. He doesn't listen to other senators. He doesn't listen to people with experience. He buys them off. I understand that. He buys them off with, hey, you know what? You want that turkey farm? I'll get it for you. I just see a great degree of danger, because listening to him last night, and I did listen to part of it, these people, his 32%, which I think is probably about right, don't care. Don't care if he never tells the truth. They don't care if he does the foulest deeds to women anytime. They don't care. They don't want to know.
All right.
Do you understand that? Should we go? Should we do
Wait
the
a
first?
minute.
Okay.
Before we do,
Right.
I want to point out
Absolutely.
that since we opened the show,
Yeah.
I haven't said anything.
Mm-hmm.
I've just
Amazing.
agreed with
It's been many
and
seconds.
You talked a long time.
Yes. Go ahead.
Right?
I did.
And I didn't interrupt.
No, you didn't. You were
I
very good.
Just wanted to point that out.
You're improving.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Let's see if would you be willing to grant me the same courtesy?
I'll give you at least as
2
much
minutes,
time.
huh?
2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Read it.
It's a short one. If Trump is unable to get the funding he wants for the border wall, should he declare a state of emergency?
Okay. Before I answer that question,
Go
I
ahead.
also want to point out that in your opening soliloquy, you exhibited this Trump hatred of Donald Trump.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
you always do.
Total.
And you know, he's a liar. He's a bigot.
Oh,
he's
yes.
He's
Yes.
all the usual things.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's all.
And if he was right here, I'd tell him the same thing. It's no secret. I hate it. I despise it.
Clearly, it definitely colors your view
Absolutely.
of what happens.
No question. No
Okay.
question.
Now you're asking me, will Trump go for this
Yeah,
deal?
if he doesn't get his border wall,
The deal, as I understand it, negotiated by, some Democrats in the House and Senate, some Republicans in the House and Senate, comes up to this: Trump will not get his $5.6 billion.
Right.
He would get 1 point something, less than $2 billion, for a fence.
Right.
And
Did
then
it say fence?
Huh?
Is that what it's saying, fence?
the people I read and listened to this morning used that term. So what Mitch McConnell spoke about yesterday on the floor of the Senate, and he's a critical player here, and the Senate Majority Leader. The bill won't come up unless he says
has to put it on the floor.
So he says, poison pill introduced over the weekend by Democrats, and he sounds like he might not even put it up,
That
or
was
he
the
doesn't
bids.
think it'll make it through the Senate.
Yeah.
And the poison pill is this: that the Democrats want to limit the number of beds, limit the amount of people who can be detained. So as it is now, people come across the border by 1,000 a day or more, sometimes 3,000 a day.
Yeah.
And they say, I want asylum. That's the key phrase that they're coached to say before they arrive.
Sure.
And then, because of the way the law the Democrats refuse to even consider changing, they have to be allowed in, and then they have to be given a hearing by a federal judge to determine if their claim for asylum is valid. Okay, well, there never were enough judges.
No.
And so they were just allowed in. They were then put on a bus and shipped everywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know, we don't know who these people are even.
No.
And then they were told, come back for your hearing.
Yeah.
Well, hardly any of them come back. And those who do come back and are denied asylum, they're not deported. Very few of them are deported. So essentially, it's you've got an open border where people come in and they bust around the country. And if they come to Portland, then they're given welfare benefits. Yeah. Okay? And I don't know what other places, but Portland they do, and I'm quite familiar with that situation. So it's an open borders policy. Of course, the Democrats will cringe if you say that this is what they support, open borders. Even though most of the leading candidates for president in the Democrat Party want to abolish ICE, which is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Just no funding even for Homeland Security, which is what Ocasio-Cortez is now proposing, and her Amen chorus agrees with it. And so this is really nuts.
Yeah.
So if you can't, now Trump would say, I'm going to keep these people at the border.
Yeah.
Or or keep the, and not release them. Well, the Republicans go crazy and they say, no, you can't. You're going to separate families down there, so you don't have enough room for them.
Democrats.
I mean, Democrats say that, and they made a lot of political hay out of that last year.
Yeah.
But now, so then Trump says, okay, we're going to have to increase. I don't want to release them into the country. I want them to go before a judge immediately, and if they're not worthy of asylum, send them right back. So don't let them in into the country. They're already in, of course, but then send them back across the border. Well, Democrats, this is key, the number of beds. He can't keep them if he hasn't got facilities to put them in.
Sleep yet.
And have the parents and kids stay together, if they are indeed parents and kids. Of course, that's a scam too. So, Democrat, this will keep the borders open. It won't change anything if Democrats get this poison pill. That's what McConnell was objecting to. So no, I don't think Trump is going to sign this.
They took that out, by the way. I think they did.
And now the question asked is, will he do the emergency? Will he declare a state of emergency, and then fund the wall that way, and get with this 5-point-something billion or whatever he chooses to spend? I think he will.
What?
Yeah, I expected he'd announce that last night in his speech in El Paso, but he didn't.
Did he declare a state of emergency?
I think so.
Here's the problem with that, though. And is that it? Are you all set?
Yeah.
The problem with all of this stuff, okay, now you must admit, even in your darkest moments, we have a president who never tells the truth, almost never tells the truth.
No, I don't agree with that at all.
You have trouble with that. Okay. The high sheriff there of El Paso came out the other day after Trump mentioned all these criminals and everything. The guy says, not true. The crime rate actually dropped. The lowest crime rate was in 2006 or 8 or something like that. And then they built a little fence, and it's gone up since then a little. So, well, they don't have that big a crime. But now you got Trump saying it was the worst city in the United States. Of course, we ignored Chicago and Baltimore. But Trump, he lies. So if he lies so much, here's the problem. It's like the finger in the dike. It's like the wolf at the door. If someone keeps lying like that, you never know when it's the truth. So that's the problem. You
seem to think you know.
Well, no, but you know he's lying. I mean, everything he says proves out that he's lying. I mean, these people are keeping track of his lies. The the Washington Post, 8,000 lies in a year or something, and they're important things. But anyway, I digress. If he decides to go that route, that he wants to declare a national emergency, it'll go to court right away. It'll take 2 or 3 years to resolve it. By then, hopefully, he's gone. Then people will get together. Do you really think a wall works?
Yeah.
Did it work in
Absolutely.
China? What did they do in China 1,000 years ago when they built that wall, 3/4 of the way across the country? You've been there, right? Didn't you climb that wall?
I didn't go to China, no.
Okay, but the point is, anybody that's been there says, yeah, a wall.
I have been to Israel where there's a wall, and it works very well.
Well, they got machine guns there too. You touched that wall. Now, come on, this is the truth. If you throw something at that wall, they will kill you, and they do it every day.
Nope.
They shoot down
people. Evidence of that at all.
They see someone climbing that wall.
I went back and forth across that wall many times.
I'm saying a Palestinian climbing over that wall will be shot to death. Okay? That's the truth. You can't touch, you can't
There's
throw
graffiti
stones.
all over the Palestinian side of it.
Yeah, they probably paint it in the dark.
I can't read it. It probably says "F-U Israelis" or whatever. I don't know.
But the point is, they use a little bit more military force to prevent an incursion than we do. And we haven't been killing people on the border. I mean, although there are,
well,
sure.
I was on a bus driven by a Palestinian bus driver. We had a Palestinian guide, and he'd stop, and an Israeli official would come up and onto the bus. He'd look us over, and he would say, "Okay," and then on we'd go. And same, we didn't scrutinize as much when we were going from the Israel side into the West Bank side.
You weren't scrutinized probably at all,
but
right?
we went back and forth. We went both ways. But when you go into on the Palestinian side, in towns like Bethlehem and other, there are the S-holes, to put it.
They're poverty-stricken.
Men are standing all around. Women are working. You see women in their hijabs with children in tow, and they're going places. They're doing things. The men, they're sitting around on cars outside smoking cigarettes, and there's trash everywhere. I mean, trash, just garbage.
Do you know how long it takes someone to,
all over the place.
You must have noticed how long it takes these people to walk to work if they happen to work on the Israeli side. Or in
I didn't see any men working at all. I saw them hanging around. That's all I saw them doing. Huh?
I don't think they can get there. I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot of things, so I don't know. I've never been there.
Well, I've seen a few things, okay? I was there. This is what I saw.
Yeah,
and the same was true. And if you went into Israel proper, there's still a lot of Arabs that live in Israel proper, but they're Israeli citizens, and there are no walls there. Like Nazareth, we went there. That's in up in Galilee.
Yeah.
And that, no walls around that, and plenty. But again, plenty of Arabs. Remember, our guides and bus drivers were all Palestinians. So that's where we ate. We ate at all Palestinian restaurants. We stayed at all Palestinian hotels and motels. So I got to see the Palestinians quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I came away with some very strong impressions.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you've taken somebody's land and water and businesses and condemn their government to a living hell, I mean, naturally, listen, hey, you're historically significant because you've been a history student for years. I mean, you know what, in Warsaw, what was that? Do you remember how they lived? Do you remember how they lived in the ghetto?
Yeah.
Do you remember how have you seen films?
There were walls there.
Yeah. Have you seen the films?
They worked too, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, because you know why? If you stepped off that wall, you were shot.
And there were walls around Auschwitz.
You were shot. You were murdered. And this is what I think there's a lot of people in this country want us to do to the people coming across the border. I think there's a lot of people there that would like to shoot them the way you would a rabid dog. And you know something? They did it in Warsaw. They're doing it in the Gaza, and you know they are. Come on.
What's going on now? You have in France. France has let me start with this.
Go ahead, start.
George Soros wrote an op-ed, and it was called in a newspaper called Business Insider. Now this is the first thing I ever read by Soros himself.
Yeah.
And it was published yesterday. So I read it, and he's worried about the European Union. He said this is a huge crisis. We're really up against it, and he was worried because of conservatives taking over, and the parties are threatening in Germany,
France,
the
Italy.
Brexit deal in the UK.
Hungary.
And he hates Hungary, and that's where he's
from.
It, yeah. Prime Minister Orban, who wants to get rid of him. They're both Hungarians, and he's a Jew too. Now,
who is Soros?
No, Soros. He's a Jew. I think he's an atheist, but he's an ethnic Jew.
I've got nothing against rich Jews. Nothing.
I'm not.
Well, he's very rich.
I say that he's a Jew because he has used hundreds of millions of his dollars, both in Europe and in the United States, in support of open borders. He helps the refugees come in, so-called refugees, almost all Muslim. The population of France now is more than 10% Muslim, and they're having 6 kids per woman. The French women are having 1.1 children per woman. And that's been true now for the second generation.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happened? So then even though the flow of refugees into France is slowing down, it's still massive. They're taking over. The Muslims are taking over. There are places, more and more places in France, where if you're not a Muslim, you don't go in there. Even if you're a cop, the only people allowed in are those with welfare checks, so that they can keep that going. There are no-go zones. And finally, European leaders are acknowledging, yes, there are no-go zones in France. Anyone with a half a brain knows, and lives there, knows that there always have been, and they're expanding. And not only that, they operate by Sharia law.
Right.
And they have their own cops, they have their own courts, and they don't let anyone else in. And if they do something you don't like, they start trashing things and burning things and throwing things and shooting. And here's the worst thing. Any Jews in the area, what you're seeing on their houses and on their shops, Juden. You're enough World War II historian. You know the significance of that.
Very poor spellers, I found.
It's a German word for Jew.
Exactly.
Juden. Why a German word for Jew? Because they're anti-Semites. Now you have some of these new members of the Democrat Congress. What are they? Just yesterday, right? One of them was forced to apologize.
What state?
For her anti-Semitic, Minnesota. Her name is Omar. She wears a hijab.
Yeah.
She's got a kind of piece of metal in her nose like this, and she's a pretty young woman, but hates Jews.
Wait. Repeat what she said. Will you? What did she say?
She mostly talked about AIPAC, which is
what?
Arab-Israeli Political Action Committee, something like that.
And what do they do?
What do they do? They advocate for Israel, they advocate for Jews.
They buy American congressmen, you know that. That's all she said.
They lobby.
They lobby. Come on. It's one of the strongest lobbying groups in the world is AIPAC, and you know that.
And she said some of the same things that you say about Israel, that they stole the Palestinian lands and that they shoot all the Palestinians. And
they do.
They do. I have a completely different view than you do.
Let me enter the phrase. Let me enter the phrase.
Go ahead.
More journalists in Israel, or in the Gaza, okay? There have been more journalists killed during the...
In Gaza.
In that area. You know, the Golan Heights, Gaza, we're always fighting over there somewhere. Than in all of World War II. More journalists have been killed by the Israelis. When they
killed
yes, if they see someone with a journalism hat on or whatever they wear on their shoulders, that's a sure sign they got to kill them. Now, you can check the stats. I mean, the stats are out there. It's not on Breitbart. It's not on the other guy there. What's his name? Trump or whatever.
We should cite your source.
I don't have them on me, but I know that's a fact.
Well, it's pretty important to say where your information is coming from, Gino.
It's generally published information. I've read it dozens of different places, and it's not by someone that's smearing them. These are people that say...
If that was true, Gino, I think I'd know about that.
Oh, okay. You know, here's the thing. I grew up in Boston, all right? I grew up in Boston when there were almost no black cops. There were no black firemen. There weren't any black mailmen, all right? And why was that? Because Boston, we had no black athletes at the time until...
The blacks had no political power in Massachusetts.
We were living in a racist area, okay? Whether we liked to it, and there were parts of Boston. My father was a racist. You can't go here and say, why? Oh, that's where all them N-words are. What are you talking about? What they haven't done to me?
What does this have to do with Israel?
I'm just saying, what you were saying before about France and Germany, Austria, all these places that have this big deal with Muslims, you don't mention Muslims as though they're a religious group. It just happens to be that these people from Africa that are moving in, etc., from Syria and all these different countries, they're Muslim believers, but they're also Syrians and Ethiopians. And then you mention them, and a lot of people that talk about them like that mention it the same way. If you were saying, instead of Muslims moving in there, substitute the word for Jewish people. And what would happen?
Gino,
I'm just saying, you wouldn't say, oh, wait a minute, it's a Jew from Pennsylvania. No, you'd be saying Jewish people are moving in, taking our jobs.
I see Islam as less of a religion and more of a political system. What they want to do is they want to take over Europe. And if you ask them, they will tell you that that is their aim. They are jihadi Muslims. They follow Salafism, a branch of Islam that believes in what they call the Medina Quran, not the Mecca Quran as written by Muhammad.
I understand.
And which says that we will take over the area and that you are to attack the infidel, the non-believers, the kafir. That is what they preach. And the Saudis have built mosques, and that's what is preached in the mosques. These people do not wish to assimilate and become Frenchmen or Norwegians or Swedes or Germans or British. None of and they are taking over, and they don't even try to hide it anymore. Europe is gone. I'm going over there as much as I can because it's changing, and I see evidence of it every time I go.
Well, I know there are groups within groups, okay? And I'm sure there are groups. I don't deny for 1 second that there is a group of people who are Muslim who are also fanatic. And I'm not saying that. What you're basically saying is you're throwing them all in the same pot.
Pretty much.
Well, that's wrong.
There are a few who are not this way.
Do you think all Jews are like Hasidic Jews? I mean, really,
I know
seriously.
That's not true, no.
Well, you know it's not true because, you know, they're not. And the same thing with Muslims. They're not all like that.
I used to think that it was a radical fringe of Muslims. And if you take worldwide Muslims, you know, 1.5 billion or so in the world who are Muslim, and if you take the biggest Muslim country in the world, Indonesia, what you're saying is true, that there would be a very small minority who are radicalized and who really, you know, believe in jihadism. But if you take the population in Europe, that is mostly radical. Their philosophy is Salafist. I don't know if you know what Salafist is.
Not really, but
it is.
Sure
they believe in the Quran. Muhammad wrote the Quran.
Right.
He wrote it in 2 phases. When he had no political power and no military power, he lived in Mecca, and he spent about 10 or 12 years trying to convert people to Islam. He only got a few hundred. Then he moves to Medina and he conquers it militarily, and he gets political power. And then in the rest of his lifetime, he took over the whole Arabian Peninsula before he died in 632. But that Quran, the Medina Quran, is completely different. And you know, when people, Western politicians like to say, oh, Islam is a religion of peace, and that, you know, there is no pressure in religion, there's no you know, violence in religion. You have to choose it. That's all in the Mecca Quran that Muhammad wrote before he got power. Once he got power, then everything's different. Then you kill the kafir wherever you can, wherever you find him.
I understand what you're saying.
So and so how come you have, you know, this one says it's peaceful, this one says it's violent. Well, if you look in the Quran itself, it says whatever was written afterward abrogates what was written before.
You have trouble, and a lot of people on your side of that equation have trouble understanding that among 1.5 billion people, sure, there are people that probably follow that to the letter of the law, try to kill people all the time. But if what you're saying is true, and I absolutely deny that, I don't think it's anywhere near true, that 1.5 billion people would take no time at all to wipe out every one of us. But that isn't the point. They're not doing that. These people, look, where do they live? They live in Egypt. They live in Syria. They live in Saudi Arabia. Look at how Saudi Arabia, now that's where Mecca and Medina are. They're in Saudi Arabia. So what you're saying is true. They have the most fundamentalist view of the religion. And who is the biggest supporter right now of Saudi Arabia? Your boy.
Donald Trump.
Your boy.
Yeah.
Now,
and
if you're so,
Israel.
Okay, if you're so, yeah, right. You believe that.
I'm telling you.
The tooth fairy. Here's the point.
All right.
If Trump is so in love with Saudi Arabia, which it seems to be, I think they're lending him money for hotels and whatnot. And here's the point. How can you then defend Trump? Because defending Trump, you're defending Saudi Arabia's view of Muslims. Because that's what they are.
Because, well, you take this recent controversy over this Khashoggi guy that got killed.
The guy, he cut himself to pieces. He went to pieces.
Was it the new crown prince who ordered that? Probably.
It was.
Probably was. So so now if Trump, it isn't that he loves the Saudis. Trump is playing real politics here. So, huh? He sees the enemy is Iran, and they're at war. Saudi Arabia and Iran are now at war, not directly like Iran, Iraq,
Aren't they both Shias?
And they are right across the Persian Gulf from each other. The war is being played out in Syria and in Yemen and all these little proxy wars.
Right.
But it's definitely between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Also, the new crown prince in Saudi Arabia, he understands that there are thousands of people in the Saudi royal family, and they're all millionaires and billionaires, right? And some of them were funding Osama bin Laden and other groups. They're funding terrorism. They're building mosques in Europe and that are radicalized like this under Salafism, and they're building them in the United States too. The Muslim Brotherhood is at the root of that. Now, the Muslim Brotherhood is the umbrella organization for all of these other radical Muslim groups.
And they were in Egypt.
And they are outlawed in Saudi Arabia. They're called a terrorist group. Many Saudis, but not here in the United States.
You don't think Saudi Arabia is responsible for a huge amount of terrorism in the world?
Yes, they are, but they're not united. Now, they're not monolithic. Now, the new crown prince, he cuts up a few journalists here and there. Right?
Oh, my God.
I mean, he did that. I can't prove it, but I believe it. I believe that he did. He ordered it, and now he's denying it.
Just for the audience, yes. A few private jet planes left Saudi Arabia.
He was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. Khashoggi.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Gino?
No, I didn't know that.
No, I'm
I
not
believe
surprised
anything you say about Khashoggi.
So we don't mention that.
But
we don't mention that he was a radical Muslim. Because why? Because, well, we call him a columnist for the Washington Post. Well, he wasn't a columnist for the Washington Post any more than I'm a columnist for the Portland Press Herald. Occasionally they run my columns, but I'm not a columnist for the Portland Press Herald. Okay?
Anyway.
He was a freelance guy, and because the Washington Post is left-wing, and because you mentioned AIPAC, right? The Israeli lobbying group.
You're jumping around too much because no one's going to follow us here. Because what I wanted to get out of you was an answer.
The Muslim Brotherhood in this country, or the Arab American, what is it called?
American League or something like that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're active in this country, active in the Democrat Party, and they're electing members of Congress.
I see.
Like the ones that are making these anti-Semitic statements, and who write op-eds for Minister Farrakhan, like one of them did.
You're throwing it,
I'm telling you got to inform yourself about this.
You're taking all this stuff and you're throwing it at a wall, and maybe some will stick a little bit. But you've got a Shiite philosophy in Saudi. You've got Shiites ruling Iran, okay? And you've got Sunnis.
No, the Shiites are not in charge of Saudi. The Sunnis are. Saudi Arabia is a Sunni country.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, when did that happen?
It's 1,400 years ago.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, they all get along together, okay? But the point is, you got a guy in Saudi Arabia right now who they know had a newsman chopped up in little pieces and shipped back to him in a bag.
Probably.
You know that. You get a president, your president, who agrees, basically said, I don't know, it was good people on both sides. Maybe the guy
soft-pedaled it.
Maybe the guy just cut himself slicing his pork chops.
I think he should have done that. I think he should have soft-pedaled it. He should not jump on board with the Muslim lobby here in the United States, who's now electing congressmen. All right, the vice chairman of the Democrat Party is a Muslim. His name, and a woman abuser from Minnesota, who's now the Attorney General of Minnesota. And his seat was taken over by this woman who was making these anti-Semitic statements.
Anti-Semitic, which she called AIPAC exactly what it is. I mean, you mean to tell me AIPAC is not a huge lobbyist?
Yes,
they
it is.
Buy congressmen every day of the week to pass laws giving them more money. I mean, I don't see. And then you come out and attack her because she had the nerve. She had the utter unmitigated gall to say something bad about AIPAC. I mean, this is terrible. Can't you see the
What's the one? Tlaib, her colleague from Tlaib, the one that says we're going to impeach the MF. when we're talking
Beautiful.
to,
He should be impeached.
She wrote op-eds for Minister Farrakhan. She's right in his league. These people are not moderate Muslims. These people are radical Muslims, just like Calypso Louis Farrakhan. Okay, that's. I'm telling you, Gino, you better look into what you're talking about here, because I don't think you're very well informed about this.
He lived in Boston 45, 50, 60 years ago, and he was working at some restaurant, and he became Minister Farrakhan of the...
I called him Calypso Louis because back in the 50s,
but the point is, he's a joke. He's always been a joke. But administration after administration after administration in Washington, a couple of them, were predominantly Republican administrations, were paying his people and paying him for 40 years. You know that too, don't you? He used to guard the projects in Chicago and all. He made sure things were cool in the ghettos.
Okay. There's a few things I want to bring up.
Oh, please.
There's one has to do with the new star of the Democrat Party, that the chairman of the Democrat Party, Tom Perez, when she was elected, called her the future of the Democrat Party. And she is getting so much attention that Nancy Pelosi is nervous. Even this woman, she's 28 years old, and she is dictating policy for the Democrats. She comes out with something.
Are you talking about the former attorney?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, for God's sake, she's a rep from New York.
Yes, she is. She's one of the freshman Democrats, like these Arabs from the Midwest, who are now part of the radical left wing of the Democrat Party, which is aligned with the radical Muslims worldwide. Okay. This is what I'm talking about, Gino, and I think you better open your eyes to them. She comes out with something. Not only does she wish. Like here's what she came out with. It was last Friday, I think it was. Yeah. Okay, her Green New Deal, and she said there are some frequently asked questions about the Green New Deal. So I want to put out a little statement here about what it is. What I want to do, I want to eliminate all fossil fuel energy production in 10 years.
Not a bad idea.
Oh, really?
No.
I want to eliminate nuclear energy.
Good idea.
I want to eliminate 99% of cars.
Cars?
Yes.
Any car?
No, electric cars. That's what she wants to go over to.
None
to burn fossil
makes
fuel.
A lot of sense.
Good. Okay. I want to gut and rebuild every building in America.
It's a good thought, but it ain't going to happen.
Of course not. Every building in America.
It'll never happen.
Gut it
that's
and
just
rebuild
it's wishful thinking.
I want to eliminate air travel.
That's wishful thinking. That ain't going to happen. I mean, you can wish for anything you want, right?
Every American will have a government-guaranteed job.
That'll never happen. They can't even keep the ones
Everyone will have free education for life.
Never going to happen. We're in America, for God's sake.
This is all part of it, okay?
It's a dream. She's having wet dreams. Go on. Well, they might be dry.
All right. Every American will have a house.
Never going to happen.
Every American will have a healthy diet.
Never going to happen.
No meat.
No.
Buy everything at Whole Foods or it's sustainable.
She said that? She didn't say
no,
that.
She
You're adding.
I added that.
Okay, you're adding words.
She called it a salubrious diet. Okay. Healthy food.
Healthy food.
Free money. Guaranteed income.
Never going to happen. Only for the wealthy.
Okay. And just not only, even to those people who are unwilling to work, be money for everybody, whether they...
And the chicks are free.
Even for those who are unable or unwilling to work. A guaranteed minimum income. And she wants to ban meat. Because cows fart.
Absolutely, it causes pollution.
That word,
that's huge.
Cow farts was right there in her.
Yeah,
she didn't, talk.
She didn't
go
around
call it
it.
breaking wind or anything. Cow farts. Okay. And how are we going to pay for this plan?
Tax the rich.
Her earliest supporter on this was Senator Edward Markey from California,
I love Markey,
from Massachusetts. Oh yeah, he's a wonderful guy. I met him way back when I was in college.
Why are you going through all this? She's never.
And how is he going to pay for this plan? Just like FDR paid for the New Deal back in the 30s.
99% taxes.
Well, raise taxes on everybody, but basically he's going to do it by extending quantitative easing.
Oh,
you know what that means, right?
Yeah, that's that.
We're going to print the money to do this.
Absolutely.
Isn't this a great idea?
No, it's terrible. But
Yes,
the point
it is. It is terrible.
Yeah, but Tom,
I'm glad to hear you say, admit that it is.
You're wasting your time tilting at windmills that are never going to move an inch, okay?
I am?
Yes.
I'm tilting at
Here's
windmills?
what we got to worry about.
Now,
Well,
I
you know-
told you specific points, where it comes from, what Congress people are sponsoring it, and 4 Democrat leaders, include all of them female, actually,
Yeah.
have endorsed this plan,
and this
including
400
and the 5th one being Bernie Sanders. He's on board with this also.
436 people are in Congress, and the vote will come down 422 to 13. Come on, be sensible. You know, I got a few things I want to go over because it's
is this on what I just brought up?
No, because
okay, because the producer just pointed at this. Question 2. So I'll read it.
You can read it. Go ahead.
Do you believe the leadership of the Democrat Party is worried about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or do you think they will embrace her?
One House member, if she's got that kind of power, then we're all in trouble, okay? Because now, on the other hand, you got someone like Trump.
Could you explain that? Why do you say we're all in trouble? I mean, like
because
conservatives
it's
and
sort of like what
liberals like
Bernie
you?
Sanders was doing. It's impossible. Those are impossible dreams. Sure, you'd like everybody to have free education. Sure, you want to stop cows from farting. Cows will always fart. In my kingdom, cows will not be buttoned up. We'll always have cows. What the hell will we do with McDonald's if we did away with the cows? We'd have to eat the cheap French fries? Come on, be sensible. So the point is, this is all crap dug up by the right to throw stones at the... You know what the... You know... All right, here's a terminology. Here's a thing. Swatting at gnats and swallowing camels. You know what that means? I think it comes out of the Bible somewhere.
Is this what conservatives are doing?
This is where we're at with the conservatives. Swatting at gnats, which is this AOC, this girl from New York, who happened to win because the other guy was out doing whatever that night and didn't even run for election. She wins. She beats a 15-term congressman or something from New York, somewhere Long Island. And now she's going to change the world, okay? Meanwhile...
I think she's from Brooklyn.
Meanwhile, so you're swatting at gnats. She's a gnat. You're swallowing camels, okay? Obama spent 5 years with a group working on reducing the power of payday lenders. They spent 5 years on it. Fruitcake Obama comes in, decides we don't want to regulate them. Trump
came in, yeah.
Fruitcake Trump comes in after the 5 years of this study. His boy, whatever his name is there, I can't even think, his new chief guy, they comes out and they just throw it right out the window. Throw it out the window. Wow. Now there's no rules against payday lenders. They were charging 400% interest. Now they can charge whatever they want. That used to be loan sharking in Boston.
400 wasn't enough?
Now, this is why this is a camel, okay? Tax increase. Everybody's getting a surprise all over the United States. Wow, they got this big tax break from Mr. Trump, and they all enjoyed it all year. But you know what? They didn't change the amount of deductions they have. Now they're getting less money back. Average of $200 or $300 a person or something like that. These are camels they're swallowing.
I wish I had it.
Trump's whole family is under indictment. All his relatives, people that work for him.
Gino.
Not his daughter and son-in-law, but the rest of them. And they'll catch up to Don Jr.
Not under indictment,
They got a ton of indictments, guilty pleas to crimes. Okay? What does he do in El Paso last night? Lock her up. And these fruitcake, red-hatted geeks are all screaming there, lock her up.
Talking about Hillary?
Yeah. I mean, you get crimes being committed. Now, what's the other thing? The other thing, swatting at gnats, swallowing camels. Whatever happened to the deficit? You used to scream about it every 2 weeks, now every month.
I got a gnat for you to swat.
Yeah, but you never talk about it anymore.
The first thing you brought up was eliminating payday loans. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
not eliminating, but just...
You know who was involved with doing that?
A lot of people.
The leader of Antifa.
Who?
Washington, D.C. The leader of
More
Antifa.
Muslims.
He was arrested about
that's the
3 weeks
anti-fascist
ago.
group.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what he was arrested for? Beating up 2 Marines. Was part of a mob of 12 guys. He beat them up in Philadelphia. Right? You know what else he did? He led the mob that raided that was harassing Tucker Carlson's house. While he was
Why would
on show.
anybody? Why would they attack his house?
They broke his front door trying to break in.
Why?
Okay, why? Because they're left-wing nutcases. That's why. And he's also a communist.
Yeah.
And he worked with Elizabeth Warren. He worked with Sherrod Brown. He worked with that nutcase woman from Los Angeles. I forget it. I can never seem to remember her name. I have a mental block about it.
Oh, she ran for president too?
No, she hasn't.
Oh, the black lady?
Yeah, she's black.
The one he said had a mini mind or something?
She's not very bright. Right.
Okay.
Anyway, this guy, this Antifa guy, worked with all these people.
Yeah.
Right. And he spearheaded the effort, like Americans for Monetary Reform or something like that. He was head of this organization that worked with Obama administration to start. Payday loans was his biggest thing. I wish I can't.
So you think they should just charge whatever interest they want?
He had 3 different pseudonyms, and he would post stuff. That's why these people wear these masks when they go. Yeah. And the people that are being arrested, when we find out who these Antifa people are, we find out that they are working with Democrats.
I see.
Well, you wouldn't expect, Gino,
you wouldn't expect.
Wait a minute.
Left. Would you expect an anti-fascist to work with Republicans? Why would they fight themselves?
No, I don't.
Why would they?
They're not anti-fascist. They are fascist.
Who?
That's what fascists do, Gino. You got enough historical knowledge of what happened, what the fascists did to recognize their tactics.
You think that the Democrats are fascists and the Republicans are what?
I say Antifa is fascist.
Oh, I don't know anything
They call themselves anti-fascists.
Yeah, well, that's
but they are fascists. This is what fascists do.
Do you realize, sometimes I think, you came from an area like Lawrence where you should have seen a few things.
I came from Tewksbury, but I lived in Lowell
come here to the beautiful North Country. Now you're trying to sell this thing. Listen, these guys could be being paid for by the Koch brothers. You want to automatically assume because someone shows up and says, I'm Antifa, oh boy. They could be paid for by anybody to make you feel good about, Tom, come into the real world. These people are all paid by somebody to do something.
He was also a member of Occupy.
Who?
He was. This guy, this Antifa guy.
Don't you ever notice how they move around from place to place?
I do.
They don't stay in one place. You know why? Someone's paying them to say what they say. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody's paying them.
What do you think Louis Farrakhan, why did he hang around all those years?
The Open Society Institute, funded by George Soros.
Do you think that Louis Farrakhan thought he was just in this for the fun and games? He liked to work? The man's never worked a day in his life. All he's done is collect money.
Your party is going off the rails.
Well, you'd like to think that.
No, I want to address the question the producer gave us. Ocasio, let's go. It's a short.
AOC.
So I'll read
just
it
call it AOC. It's easy.
Do you believe the leadership of the Democrat Party is worried about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or do you believe they will embrace her? Both.
You didn't even ask
Nancy
me that question
Pelosi
yet.
is worried about her.
Okay.
Pelosi is smart enough politician. I don't agree. I used to think she was one of the more left-wing members of the Democrat Party.
Moderate.
Guess what? Compared to these people, she's right-wing.
Yeah.
These people are nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's the one that forced this woman to apologize yesterday.
They all did. They come out of the clouds.
She is the Speaker of the House, and she has authority over this woman. And if she didn't order that to happen, it would not have happened. Okay, she is worried about AOC and this woman Omar and Tlaib, who wrote for Farrakhan, and all of the rest of this new freshman class, all dressed in white during the State of the Union address. Okay, these people are nuts, Gino. They're communists. They're radical Muslims.
Terrible. Communism's terrible now. What happened to Putin?
Since when has it not been terrible?
When did Putin commit his life to Christ? Would you tell me, please?
Are you changing the what?
I'm
Wait
just
a minute.
saying.
Putin. Wait a minute.
You
How
and
do we
this,
get on to Putin?
You and this guy who pretends to be president seem to love Russia.
Gino, I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm going with it because
I don't. What evidence have I ever given you that I love Russia?
You're supporting Trump. You support Saudi Arabia. You support what's going on in Europe with the right wing.
I don't support Saudi Arabia. I support Trump when he realizes that he's partnering with Saudi Arabia against the real enemy, which is Iran. And Israel and Trump are working with Saudi Arabia to counteract Iranian influence, because the Iranians are Shiites, the Saudi Arabians are Sunni. And so Trump is exploiting that rift.
So we do assume now, because you're so learned on this Middle East subject, that Saudi Arabia now is in love with Israel. That's what you're telling me.
No, they don't love Israel, but they recognize that Israel is a useful ally against Iran
So
because they have a common enemy.
They're all using
the enemy
each
of
other.
my enemy is my friend, temporarily.
Temporarily.
We sided with Stalin against Hitler for
Sort
the
of.
same reasons.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Until 1944, we didn't do anything. We started a campaign in Italy.
How about Lend-Lease?
Wait a minute. Yeah, well, you can give them supplies, used, worn-out old tanks. Come on.
They would have collapsed without Lend-Lease.
Lend-Lease, what, Russia?
Yes.
Oh, Tom. England might have.
So would England.
England would have.
They both
Not
would have.
Russia.
Now, you know, as much as I disagreed with Roosevelt's New Deal, I acknowledge that he was a master political tactician.
Certainly was.
And he helped us to win World War II by playing it the way he did. He was brilliant at that.
Why do you think at the end of World War II, Russia wound up taking most of Europe free? Eastern Europe.
Because he screwed up. He was sick at the end there. He was dying.
What did they do? We
Well,
sat
that's why.
back.
You asked me the question.
Wait.
That's why. Because
After
Roosevelt
Stalin-
would never allowed that to happen if he was healthy.
After Stalingrad, okay? After Stalin, when Germany basically
The
lost
siege
the
of
war.
Stalingrad, yes.
After Stalingrad, Germany was in retreat.
That's
okay?
right. Yeah.
We sat in France, we sat across the English Channel
Yeah.
till June 6th of 1944.
That's right.
Now, we did do a diversion.
North Africa.
Diversion, and not that. We did the diversion in Italy. What we did, we sent three out.
North Africa went up to Sicily.
Useless.
and
We
then
lost thousands
yeah.
and thousands of men for nothing. But it was to make Stalin happy, because Stalin wanted a second front.
That's right, he did.
But we left them there from 42 or maybe early 43.
That's true, we did, right up till June 6, 1944.
June
That's right.
2,
And my
4.
father was on that part of that invasion.
And he lost millions of troops, millions of soldiers during
That's
that
right.
time, because we wouldn't pinch the Germans from the other side.
We
okay?
wanted to let Russians kill as many Germans as
Exactly.
possible
Exactly.
before the Americans went over there to fight.
But then
Very smart move.
It was very
Don't
interesting.
you agree
though.
that was a smart move?
Well, it was really a very intelligent move. The only problem is they didn't put any stops in there. So basically, we only saved a few countries out of that group of countries that then went under Russian domination.
in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think we saved Greece.
Truman screwed that up pretty much.
I don't know. I
Sure
don't
he
know.
did.
But the thing is, it was
Truman
very
was
interesting.
naive.
But you know the problem with America today? Nobody knows anything about history. They don't know.
Who doesn't?
And Americans
No,
don't
I
know
agree
about
with you
history.
there, having been
Donald
a-
Trump doesn't even know. He didn't.
No.
Have you
I
ever
agree
seen a
with you.
stupider
He's-
person
he's not a
historically?
scholar, but neither was Obama.
Not a scholar.
Neither was Obama when it comes to history.
Obama was a pretty smart guy. Maybe he wasn't
Okay.
historically.
I know you wanna
Maybe he
believe
wasn't
that.
historically. This man.
Neither
is a-
one of them did. They don't have
wait
a
a
whole
minute.
lot of knowledge.
You aren't gonna
I
compare-
suspect you know more history than Obama does, and
Maybe.
you know more history than Trump did.
Although I did have a nice chat with Obama, and he was a pretty bright guy. I
But
talked to him for quite a while.
Being intelligent is one thing. To have knowledge is another. You can be intelligent, the capability of learning, but be ignorant, meaning didn't learn about these particular matters.
You see,
And
I have a
he
different-
didn't learn.
I have a different look about what you're talking about the Middle East. I see the day of the inauguration, Flynn was on the phone with the Saudi Arabians. That's what the FBI or the Secret Service picked up on. He was on the phone with the Saudi Arabians.
So?
And what were they talking about? Nuclear power in the Middle East. He was going to do
Okay.
some deal with Saudi Arabians to, I guess, do a bunch of nuclear power plants or something in the Middle East.
Good.
Probably all say Trump on the
Flint
top.
hated it. It was very much against
Exactly.
the Trump, the
So-
Iran deal.
But in the meantime, the son-in-law, Squeegee, whatever his name is, Jokama, what's the son-in-law's name? Trump's son-in-law?
Oh, I see his face
Whatever.
in my mind's eye.
He's
yeah.
over in the Middle East afterwards.
He's there now.
He's trying to do all these kind of, he's going to protect the Middle East from himself because he's going to get big loans to bail him out of his hotel in New York. That's like $600 million
Okay.
in the hole. These people are thieves. It's a family thief society. And if you can't see it, I really worry about you. You know, now that I'm only on once a month, you might need me to challenge you more often because I'll tell you, you're falling into disrepute.
Why?
Because But you agree with these people. You know better. You know what this Trump is.
On
Come
some
on.
things I do.
On some things.
And the things I mentioned, and I told you my reasons
Oh
why.
my God.
Okay?
The son-in-law is such a cockroach. He's a roach. The man.
Gino,
Look
you
at him.
you don't get anywhere when you just call people names.
All right, I
okay?
won't call him a name. He's not a cockroach.
You really need to just, say, I disagree with him on this because of this. I mean, and cite your sources.
Okay, I don't like him borrowing money from the Saudi Arabians to pay for a hotel in New York. I mean, I don't like Trump offering Putin the penthouse in a building he wanted to build for a free penthouse, $50 million worth. I don't like the fact that they're renting rooms in his new hotel in Washington, and the people are renting these rooms for, thousands of dollars a day, so they can get in to see Trump. I don't like the fact that they got them working on the Veterans Administration in Mar-a-Lago in Florida. That's where the people were stashed.
Veterans Administration.
Yeah, the guys that he's got heading up the Veterans Administration now work out of Mar-a-Lago. I don't like those things. I don't like the thing that we have to pay Secret Servicemen to guide him while he's playing golf. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that he blamed Obama for playing golf every day. And Obama was, they got him registered for like 80 days and how many years Trump goes every week. I don't like it. He's such a liar. And, everything he does is crooked. But you know what? He's coming down. They got him in about 90 different directions. And it's the apples are going to start falling off the tree very, very soon.
All right, I bet you the other guy, Mark Garang in your seat 2 weeks ago, if and when we ever see the Mueller report,
oh, you'll see it.
Then I am willing to bet that there is no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, which is what he was charged with investigating, his reason for existence. Okay? Nothing there.
Do you believe that Russia interfered in our election?
I believe they've interfered in American elections since the 1920s.
But that particular one, do you feel that they...
No more, no less than any other election.
Well, we didn't have the web in those days and stuff like that, but they utilized the web to send 250 million emails to people.
Are you willing to bet that you seem to be willing to take me up on my bet? There's no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia in the Mueller report.
The problem is they don't have to return.
Yes or no? Is there?
Well,
Will there be?
You can't be sure because you may never see the report.
I don't. No, I haven't. When we see it,
if they see the report,
do you think it will have evidence?
Yes, if they see the report. Yeah.
Are you willing to bet?
Sure.
So what can we bet? I don't know.
What do you want to call? What do you want to say? Collusion? That Donald Trump had a direct involvement, or that his family?
If you're willing to say on this program, I was wrong and you were right, I'll accept that.
That'd be very hard for me to do.
I know it will. That's why I'm asking it.
I may have to do that, though. I may have to do that.
If
How about
there
my
is
firstborn
evidence,
son?
if there's evidence, I'm willing to say that I was wrong and you were right.
Now, how deep does the evidence have to be? Like son-in-law, son? What will you believe?
Hard evidence.
Hard evidence that he actually...
Yes, not circumstantial.
Colluded. They colluded.
That's right.
Okay, I can go along with that.
Okay.
And I will admit that I was somewhat wrong.
You sound like Omar's apology yesterday. About Omar, this new congressman in your party.
You sound awful racist, and I know you're not
I'm
a racist.
racist.
If she was an Irish Catholic...
There you go. Now you got no more arguments. If you call me a racist because I criticize what this woman said.
It sounds racist. This woman
has to... We got a minute left.
She has to apologize to the world for saying the American party, what do they call them? I can't even think of another. That
AIPAC.
AIPAC. They're awful. They are awful. And they basically run our government in a lot of ways with their money.
All right. So you agree with her then? All right.
I don't agree. I agree that she should have apologized, but I don't think she had to go through.
Well, it's been good. I did get to actually some of my my show prep here. I didn't get to nearly, a small fraction of it, but there we go.
Now,
we got about 20 or 30 seconds left.
Well, I think it's been good. I think we had a good, good debate. I don't know if it's a debate, but it's a battle. I guess it's
yeah.
I agree.
Try to bring some, if you cite data, cite your sources, please.
Well, I don't, it's something I've read in numerous
Before you
places.
go, last thing.
What?
Anybody of the dozens of Democrats wanting to run for president, any of them you like?
I do. I like the guy from Texas.
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke.
Anyone else?
And I like the lady as vice president from Minnesota. A.B. Gomisha.
Okay.
I think that'll be the ticket.
You
We
do?
should bet on the next ticket.
Oh, okay. Well, I have no idea who.
I think he'll be good. I think he'll be a good president, but I don't know.
That's interesting. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for
So,
coming,
see you
folks.
next time.
See you in a month, and I'll watch you again in 2 weeks.
All right.